So now that Jedi Survivor has been finally released for us plebs without any early access code, did it live up to the hype? Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Doom and Train Game, where I do everything gaming. Playthroughs, streams, reviews, first impressions, you name it. This is gonna be my first impression of Jedi Survivor after 10 hours of playing it. Now I did just play Jedi Fallen Order right before this, so I'll be making a lot of comparisons to that rather than other games, which will give you a better frame of reference anyways. Now there are a lot of pros and cons to the game, and for me it was mainly pros even on PC, which has more bugs compared to console versions, but there are a few things that aren't sparkles and rainbows about this game. Right, so for the first thing that stood out to me is the attention to detail in the game. I don't remember exactly if Fallen Order had this, but each lightsaber color has a different sound profile, and even Cal's hair moves when he's jumping around. That's hella extra. Another one is when you chop some foliage down, you see it tumbling down and burning up, not just disappear like in Fallen Order. Yes, these are very minor points, but that's the thing. In order to be able to put this much attention into small details, the devs likely already put a lot of energy into the big ones. Something else that I did notice pretty early on is how snappy the game feels, especially traversing and combat gameplay. I know I talk a lot about combat, but that was the one thing that I struggled with in Jedi Fallen Order, and it felt so sluggish and clunky. That's fine for the beginning of the game when Cal is still somewhat of a scrub, but even later he's still giving off noob energy, and that's kind of a pain. But in Jedi Survivor, you get to pick up where you left off with his skills. It feels way smoother, and I think they made the animation shorter, so when you're in the middle of an offensive barrage, you can still block random attacks from blasters, hits, and projectiles. So it feels closer to the flowing combat of the Batman series games. Still not at that level, but closer to that than what it was in Fallen Order. The developer also made getting around the map much easier. I don't really know if they made crazy changes to how Cal attaches to the surrounding, but it seems like they did make changes to the distance of the obstacles and how far and fast Cal can jump, which makes it feel a lot less of a hassle. You don't have to be so close to pixel perfect on your timing in order to make a gap. So now, platforming feels more integrated as part of the game rather than something Respawn just threw in just to make it more challenging. Then there's the pacing of the game, where I feel Respawn definitely front-loaded the skill and gadgets quite a bit. Granted, I feel like the front-loading is pretty important to the overall gameplay, so I don't mind the change. Within a couple of hours of the game, you unlock your combat stances, your new buddy, and your mount. You get all of your exploration tools and the important unlockables out of the way, and you can play the games the way that you want, and not have to double back too much because you can access an area. Before I get into the biggest change that stood out for me, unfortunately there are a couple of issues with the game that needs to be addressed. The first and the obvious thing is the file size. It's freaking massive, like Jabba the Hutt massive. For Xbox, PS5, PC, the files are all around 100 and something gigabyte for the game. If you don't have massive storage for your device, you better kiss your other games goodbye. God of War, uninstall. Resident Evil 4, uninstall. Jedi Fallen Order, uninstall. And I know it's a massive game by just looking at Coruscant and Kobo, but sheesh. Even with the massiveness of the game, there's still the occasional "you're not supposed to go that way" golden path feel, where there are features that look like you're able to use it for traversal, but you can't, which lead you to want to Jedi Survivor uninstall. Then there's the game performance. I'm not gonna pick apart the actual performance, but if you want an in-depth analysis, there are a lot of other channels that have done extensive testing on the game. Alright, so I'm playing on my PC with a 3090 and the Intel 11900K. It's not the latest or the greatest, but ain't no slouch either. It runs most of the games at pretty much max settings at 1440p. I noticed that there were certain parts of the game, cough cough, Coruscant, where I was only getting around 40 FPS, which is wild. So I turned the settings down to medium, but no cigar. It pretty much didn't change anything at all. And for a while, I actually thought that the game was heavy and that it was just taxing my system that hard. But no, when I got to a more closed off part and less graphically intense section of the game, it shot right back up to 90 FPS. So I tried changing my setting to what the game recommended in the first place, and it was still at 90. I'm guessing that the people at Respawn just capped the FPS at a certain part of the game, which is weird because I feel like it's more jarring to go from like 90 FPS to 40. And I understand that they cap that kind of stuff for like consoles, but for PC, come on, we PC gamers like to run free. So if you plan on getting this game when it first released, then just know that there will be performance issues. It's still playable, and personally I didn't have the jacked up cutscenes like other people, but your mileage may vary. Even with these hiccups, the thing that stood out to me instantly the moment I got into the game is the visuals. The visuals are next gen aesthetics, especially in Coruscant. I was soy faced for the whole first 2 hours of the game, absorbing the details around the map even with the low FPS. I don't know if other people felt like that too, or maybe I'm just biased towards cyberpunk vibe of Coruscant underworld. They made the underworld of Coruscant pretty dang beautiful. Just the sheer scale of it alone is stunning, and the way that Respawn frames and lights up the building is crazy. With the planets that are more open like Kobo and Jeddah, they got the texture down pat. Everything is really detailed. They seriously nailed the color and the texture to capture how it would feel if you were on the planet yourself. So far, I think Jedi Survivor is a great game. It's definitely not reinventing the wheel, rather it's building on something that was already great. I can't comment too much on the story, but Fallen Order did do a great job showing us around the Star Wars universe and what it feels like to be a Jedi. I think if you like that aspect of Fallen Order, you will also enjoy this game. It has the same vibes, just turned up a few notches. So with that, if you liked the video, please give it a like down below, and if you want to see more content and playthrough of games like Jedi Survivor, force choke the subscribe button, and may the force be with you.